Hello, Gemini, and welcome to your April Tarotscope for April 2018. I'm doing my usual four corners of our world, which is mind, body, or physical, emotional or relationship, and spirit or passion, present energy, strength, possible obstacle. Right away, I'm just like zeroing in on the fact that this Father of Cups is sitting on the mind, and I feel like I have to address this almost immediately. Like, this is just really pressing itself on me. I just feel that there is an overall struggle of trying to be in control of an emotional status. Um, and I don't feel that it's because you're out of control emotionally, but you're at a point where you've been really tapping into defining your emotions for you and trying to control them, or wanting to be in control of them, or feeling like there are moments where it's out of your control and you don't like it. So it's not like you're a blubbering idiot or anything like that. Like, that's not what I'm getting from this. Just that you want to be more in control, basically. Like, that is the biggest thing. It's like you want to be more in control of your emotions. And along with that comes with being more in control with reactions. And getting to a point where you can feel like others don't quite influence your emotions nearly as much as you currently perceive that others can influence you. And if you hear my little one behind in the background, I apologize. But anyhow, so I just feel like, there are people in your lives that you don't perceive yourself to be actually emotionally attached to, but somehow they manage to have an impact on your emotions. And so that is what you're trying to get control of. That is what's really heavy on your mind right now, is trying to figure out how you can cut whatever connections they have, because the way you see it and the way it is, actually the way it actually is, it's not just the way you see it, the way it actually is, these people really don't have any connection to you. You don't really have any sort of ties or bonds to them that you are specifically choosing. But somehow they still manage to do things that alter your emotional state. And that is what you're really struggling mentally. That is what you're really trying to get a handle on, and trying to decide what is it that you're missing as far as what ties that they may have that maybe you don't see for some reason that you can cut, because you really want them to be cut. You're ready for it to be done and over. You don't want them to have this sort of impact in your life. That is how much this scenario or these people don't really belong in your life in according to you. So as you enter the month of April, you're really just trying to focus on and zero in on whatever bonds or ties that may exist that you can't see. You're trying to find them. Maybe there's just some weird root that's down deep, and you just need to dig for it to cut it. You're not quite sure. You're trying to discover it because you just want the separation to occur. You want it to be done. You're done. So this is the big energy that I feel we're entering April with. This particular connection that you don't want and you don't perceive that exists, but somehow it does in some facet, because as I said, this person, or the situation, whatever the case, however it may apply to you individually, really does seem to have an impact on you emotionally, and you're done. You're done with that. And so then I'm just going to go right into this present state, because I feel like it's going right into the present state of an Ace of Swords. And you're not quite at the point of feeling like you are at a new perspective, mentally, thought process regarding your life, especially in tied to this person or situation and their impact on you that you don't want, but you're searching for it. You enter April searching for a new perspective, a new understanding, because you want it to be done and gone and cleaned up. And you really want to move on from it. So that's kind of what you're entering April with. And somewhere around the second week of April, I feel like it switches from you searching for that perspective that you feel like you must be missing for this to have such a huge impact on you, to actually discovering what it is that you need to kind of switch, whatever it is that you need to switch, however that applies for you, so that you can move on from this. And I feel like it's going to be fairly groundbreaking for you if you put the work into it and you really do what it is that you need to do. And of course, once you understand and have a perspective, then it comes down to follow through. But that's, that's up to you. But the beginning of the month is very much, it's not action, it's thinking, it's perspective, it's clarity, it's thought process. You start April searching. Some around the second week of March, you get to where you are have a better clarity and understanding, and it helps you to, like I said, flip whatever switch that is. Unfortunately, in the physical I feel like this is actually considering the present position that you're in, the situation you're in, whether it is an actual situation or a person in the situation and how that person ties you to the situation. But within your physical realm, there's a bit of feeling chained, trapped, not quite having the choices you feel that you need. And I think that's why I kind of tapped into that as far as the Ace of Swords. When you get to the point where you kind of reach that understanding and that clarity, then it becomes a point of going from searching and then having clarity and then getting to the point of doing. And I feel that this varies from person to person, situation to situation, relationship to relationship. But for some of you, it might be easier and quicker for you to clear the way, clear the path, cut the chains, and make the change that you need to create that, what's the word? Cut. That's not the word I'm thinking of, but to cut your ties from whatever it is that has such a huge influence on you emotionally. And others, that the point of time from clarity to being able to see the action fulfilled is a bit longer. And it just has to do with some personal ties, some personal chains that you have, whatever the situation is that you find yourself in, whether it is just the situation or it is a specific person that's creating the situation. I feel that there's events that have brought you to this position. And once the clarity comes about, you'll also understand how those ties or chains existed, but then comes the work of how to untangle yourself from them. The truth of the matter is you can untangle yourself from them, but it depends on all the time leading up to this that you may or may not have realized that you've been creating the links in these chains, and how long the chain is for the length of time it takes when you gain the clarity to the action of actually completely severing the ties. Does that make sense? I really hope that makes sense. So within your actual world, the situation, your personal application of your personal world, there's definitely some things that you feel very tied and bonded to. And there are specific choices that have been made that have brought you to this place. And it's just going to be a matter of seeing them for what they are and being able to make the change and then take the action. And this is going to take a little bit of work on your part. And for the most part, I feel that it's work that you want to tackle, but at the same time, it's the kind of work that you want to tackle, but the sheer thought of it is a bit exhausting, and you also would like to avoid it. And that's why the Devil card is in this position. As much as you want to get rid of it, there's also a bit of a struggle that the amount of work it's going to take is it feels kind of daunting. It's not something that you want to do. And it feels like this is sort of connected. I did a new moon reading for all the astrological signs. And in the new moon reading, I mentioned seeing the situation for what it is. And this feels fairly tied to that. And like I said, it's what you want. It's what you're working for. It's what has been on your mind. But it's not an easy task. Sometimes when we make choices, we make those choices for a reason. And so we've had a solid reason for the choices that we make. And then to have to kind of unstick the solid reasoning to get to breaking the chains and severing these ties is kind of hard because we made them. Does that mean, like, when you made these choices, you made the links in these chains, and you made them for a reason. They had a purpose when you were doing them. So you made the links in the chains strong to hold for what you needed them to be holding when you created them. And you did a good job creating them. So it's going to take as much energy from you to break the chains, to change the situation. And that's kind of what I feel a lot of the energy of April has potential of you doing. And a lot of it begins within the mind. A lot of it starts, and the heavy lifting and the action part, somewhere around the second and third week, I feel is the most prominent energy. I feel that the switching goes from mental, getting that clarity, and now desiring to actually break the chains that have been built, that link you to the situation. The chains that you can now really see for what they are and have a strong desire to break. Somewhere around the end of the second week and the third week, you'll get to the point where you're going to want to start breaking them. But it's from person to person as far as the level of energy it's going to take to break those ties and to make the changes. And it's one of the reasons why some of this is the hardest work that you can do is because it starts with self. And when we work on ourselves, it's not always easy and it's not always fun. So I think that's one of the reasons why this is coming across as such a struggle, because it's something that is kind of hard. It's the kind of hard work that makes you look at yourself at a different perspective and to see yourself in a different way. And it's not always easy. And so therefore, going from getting to the point to where you actually look at yourself and then seeing yourself for what the situation is, and then being able to break the ties that you know you made a choice to make in the first place, that's a lot. It's not the kind of work most of us really like to do. But when we do it, we know we feel better for it. Like, it's the kind of work that when we finally buckle down and we do it, we're so grateful that we did it. But that's what you're going to find yourself at. Very, very heavy in that, like the end of the second week, beginning of the third week seems to be where it's the thickest as far as energy is concerned. And will probably motivate you the most as far as getting you from clarity of thought to, okay, all right, I'm just going to do it. I don't care, I'm doing it. And then, just depends on you and the energy that you put in, the time and energy that you put in with each chain that you need to break them. Emotionally, we have the Eight of Cups, and I just feel that, honestly, the emotional status and spirit and passion, we have the Eight of Cups in the emotional, racial relationship, love, spread, portion. Oh my gosh, I can't speak, sorry. And we have the Five of Cups in the spirit or passion realm, and I feel that they're very, very interlinked. Like I said, this is the kind of work that we normally don't like to do, to take a real good close look at ourselves and see where we need to make changes, because this work usually begins with self before it can move on to the external. And not a lot of people like to really dive into this kind of work, even though when we're done, we're really glad that we did. So in the process of switching from clarity of thought to deciding, okay, these are the actions, this is what I got to break away about myself, so I can see myself from a different perspective, and then I can break down what I need to break down so I can rebuild myself again. Emotionally, you're just going to be drained. Emotionally, you're going to be drained. Some of your passion is going to be drained a little bit because it's going to take a lot of energy from you. I don't feel like this has to be horribly draining to the point of feeling like you got nothing left. The fact that you're listening to this reading and you're being told this is the kind of work that's going to kind of dampen your spirit just a little bit, maybe dampen some of your passion a little bit, kind of get a little bit draining in the emotional status, that's enough to let you know that you can tackle this with great wisdom and balance, and just kind of pay attention to your reserves and try not to do too much at once. Just be good to yourself during this process. That's the best way I can put that. Be good to yourself during this process. Even when we look in the mirror on a spiritual level, and we look at our soul and we realize, okay, that kind of taints the part of my soul that I want to shine a little bit more. How do I scrub that off? How do I chisel that away? it's so hard to see that side of ourselves. And it's hard to put in the work for that. And so it can be draining. So obviously, yes, you are going to feel this quite a bit emotionally and internally. But you're being told to be good to yourself in the process. And that's pretty much all I can say. I can't sugarcoat it. I wish I could say it in a nice, bigger, flowery way, but there really isn't any beautiful bouquet with roses and baby's breath to put this, except for, if you feel like you need a bouquet of roses and baby breath, go do that and buy yourself some, because when you're going through this, you need that for yourself. Treat yourself that you're worth this. You're worth the work that it's going to take, the emotional draining that it may present in the process. And while you're going through it, buy yourself that little something that you need to tell yourself you're worth it. You're worth not just the bouquet of roses, but you're worth the work that you'll be putting in because of who you're going to be when you're finished. There's nothing else I can say about that. And it doesn't, you obviously could choose not to do the work. We always have free will, and you can choose to take it slower, which is fine too, and less draining. And if you can do that, then do that. Or you can choose to dive in headlong and like break away, and it'll be draining at a different level because you're being aggressive about it. You can choose how you want to go about this. The biggest thing is just be good to yourself while you're doing this. Be good to yourself while you're going through this. And if you get moments where you are not good to yourself, find someone who'll be good to you and tell you what you need to hear so that you know you're worth it. You're worth the work you're going to be putting in to make these changes, and to help give you that strength that you may need. Your strength for the month is Four of Wands, and it's going to be celebrating your successes. And like I said, going back to the analogy of you want, a dozen roses with baby breath, you go out and you buy those, and you find a reason why you should celebrate yourself by getting those roses. What is it that you feel like is worth celebrating? And it can be the smallest thing, it can be the largest thing. It doesn't matter. If you're feeling down, you pin down one thing about yourself that's worth celebrating, and you go buy something and buy it for yourself for that reason. Be good to yourself. Celebrate. That's the biggest thing that's going to be your strength as you move through this month and you move through this process, and you go to whatever depths it is that you're going to be going to kind of make those changes, because I feel like what the end result's going to be, the other side of this, what you're going to end up with if you tackle this and approach this in this way. So you already know the reward that you'll be getting, what you'll be reaping from this work. So just celebrate. Celebrate not just what you're going to get when you're done, but celebrate what you succeed during the process. Every time you succeed, find a way to celebrate them. Your potential obstacle, we have the 8 of Wands, and it's in reverse. The obstacle is going to be really struggling with yourself and putting in the time and effort. And I can feel that when I'm doing this reading, which is why I keep saying some of the things I keep saying. I feel that there's going to be some resistance to this kind of work, the process, the way you're going to feel, the emotional drainage, the changes it's going to require. The resistance to movement is big. It's really big. I feel like that is going to be the biggest issue with the entire month. And it can be as big or as little as you want it to be. And like I said, if you really don't want to do the work, you don't have to. We have free will. I'm a big believer in free will. And free will is just a different path. But, if you know what the end result is that you want, and you can see that, and that's what you want to do, that's the work you're going to have to go for. That's the path. When you see the end result you want, you can see the path that's going to get you to there. And you have the choice of taking that path or not. And if you don't want to, you can choose another path, but that doesn't guarantee that the end results that you want you're going to get. Does that make sense? You could probably veer around back depending on the situation. But I feel like you already know. You know what the end result is. You know what the situation is. You know the work that's going to call from you, and you know what the delay and process is going to result in for you. I feel like you don't need me telling you, but the universe, for some reason, feels like you need me to tell you because there's a lot of resistance. I feel like heavily unpopular right now, but that's the truth of it. Honestly, it really is, and much love and luck to you as you work through this. I can. Maybe you can get to that point where you're not resisting, or you get to the point where you understand the reason for resisting and you can deal with that, whatever the case may be. I'm going to go ahead and pull a card for you to kind of give you a little something, something, hopefully help you transition, maybe help you with the resistance that you're experiencing. I have 2 cards that demand to come out. When I lean on faith, start over, can't talk today. When I lean on certainty and faith, I change my mind about this world I see. Again, it's about perspective and then seeing the work for what it is, and then seeing the end results and the rewards that you're going to get for those work, and then wanting it hard enough or bad enough to go for it. And then the other card that jumped out and really made me feel that I really need to still put forth is true healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. I don't really feel like I have to expound on that. I feel like it really touches what I was talking about, the resistance and why you're feeling the resistance and the whole process and what it means for you. But true healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. All right, Geminis, that is all I have for you. Have a great healing month. If you want more from Embrace the Moon, I do weekly general readings available on Patreon, as well as new moon readings for each astrological sign, and one offering for a monthly email personal reading, all for subscriptions. You can cancel at any time. Feel free to head on over there and check them out if you're interested in any of those. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic month. Good luck, much success to you, love and blessings, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.